What's up, everyone? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it is time to give you my 2022 Big Ten Championship game prediction for the upcoming Big Ten Championship game between the Purdue Boilermakers and the Michigan Wolverines. And how this video works, I give you my official prediction for this game and also give you a preview of this game and also give you the game summary and all sorts of stats and info about these two teams, the comparison between these two teams as well. Same thing how like I did it yesterday with the ACC conference, and now we're going to give you the Big Ten championship game. So how this video works, like I said, just give you a preview of the game and also give you a prediction and also a score prediction at the end of this video. So let's get right into it here between the Purdue Boilermakers and the Michigan Wolverines for the Big Ten championship game that is coming up this weekend. All right, let's start with the stats here for both of these teams. Looking at Purdue first, average about 280.7 yards per passing. I think Aiden O'Connell is a pretty good quarterback. I mean, he's thrown about 22 touchdown passes this season and 11 picks, but overall, he's been pretty much taking care of the football. He's thrown for 3,000 yards on the year, and I think he's a pretty good quarterback in the Big Ten. He's pretty much the top, Big Ten West quarterback in that division as well. For the rushing game, Purdue averaging about 125.8 yards per game. They do got some talented running backs, but not as talented as Michigan's, but they're some decent running backs. It's not really quite as decent though as Michigan's, but I think they can run the football really good. Overall pretty well. They average about 125 yards, so yeah, they can run the football. Points per game, this team is averaging about 28.6 points per game on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, this team can score points. I mean, like I said, this team is a decent team. They can score some decent points on some tough competition. Purdue, I think, can score points on this Michigan team, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough, to really get past this Michigan defense. We'll talk about it in just a minute, though. Offensively, they rank 52nd on offense. Defensively, they are 34th in the country on defense. So they have a pretty solid defense. I mean, not as quite as, decent as others in the defensive, rankings. But, yeah, overall, Purdue is a pretty good passing team. I mean, they have a really good quarterback in Aiden O'Connell. He can really throw it down the field. He's going to have a big game, though, this weekend. Looking at Michigan's stats for here, they only average about 214 yards of passing, 0.6 yards of passing. Yeah, J.J. McCarthy looked really good against Ohio State. That was probably the best game I've seen Michigan pass the football all year long. I mean, it pretty much was their best game, and it was pretty much the best game I've seen J.J. McCarthy play all year long. This is a great running team. This is an explosive running game for Michigan, averaging about 244.5 yards a game. And their running backs are pretty good. I mean, we know Blake Corum was not really healthy going into the Ohio State game, but this Michigan team has really talented, help. Instead of Blake Corum being, the overall guy, but yeah, he's had a pretty good season. If he really plays in this game, he might be in that Heisman conversation. I mean, he's got over 1,000 yards on the season. He's got 18 touchdown runs. So, yeah, I mean, Corum is pretty much, the top running back in the Big Ten. And I think Michigan obviously is the top team, or actually the top rushing team in the Big Ten. This team is averaging 39.8 points per game. So they're a pretty explosive offensive team as well. They rank number 8th, I think, in the, points per game category. Offensively and defensively, if you look at this team on offense, they're 24th. I know they're not pretty high in the rankings on offense, but there's other teams out there that are averaging about 30 points a game and also about more than 40 points a game. But defensively, this defense has been explosive this season. I mean, they're second in defense, right behind Georgia, perhaps, the first ranking of the defense. Yeah, Michigan's defensive line is pretty good. They could stop the run pretty well. I mean, they're only giving up about 80-something yards per game on the rushing game. The defense is pretty good as well in the secondary. So, yeah, Michigan's defense is pretty explosive. Looking at both of these teams' comparisons, I mean, Michigan has the better overall stats. I mean, just the offense in general. I mean, you look at the defense as well. They are pretty explosive on that side of the ball. And for Michigan, they have an 89% chance to win this game. and Purdue only has an 11% chance to win this game. So the FBI is really high on Michigan to win this one pretty big. I'm not saying they're going to maybe win big, but we'll see how the score prediction goes for me. All right, let's get into the game summary now. This game will be at 8 o'clock Eastern Time this Saturday on Fox. Michigan is favored by 16.5 points, so they're favored by double digits, and the over and under is at 51.5. Purdue, they're 8-4 coming into this season. Their last 5 games have been pretty successful. They had those 2 losses, though, of course, to Wisconsin on October 22nd. They lost to Iowa by 21 points. That was a game that they didn't play their best, even though they had that game at home. They beat Illinois about 3 weeks ago, beat them by 7 points. They beat Northwestern as well. They beat them in a close game, though. Indiana on the road this past weekend. So, yeah, the last 5 games, they've won 3 out of their last 5 games. So, pretty good, run there for Purdue to end their, record with a 3-game winning streak. For Michigan, they have won all their last 5 games. They beat Michigan State pretty well. Beat the Rutgers on the road. They beat Nebraska at home by 31. They had a tough one against Illinois 2 weeks ago. They had to win that game by a field goal. And then, of course, they beat Ohio State this past weekend. They're 12-0 heading into this game. And this game's in Indianapolis, so pretty much at the Lucas Oil Stadium. Michigan and Purdue here in the Big Ten Championship. This is going to be an interesting game. And we're going to talk about my prediction now. So let's head into my prediction now. Purdue comes in at 8-4. Michigan is 12-0. Both of these teams are not really similar. Michigan is pretty much better on the offensive side of the ball. I think Purdue can score points, but I don't think it will be enough. I think, the game plan for Purdue is to pass the football for Aiden O'Connell. I think the passing game is going to help them. I think the running game really won't help them because Michigan is really good at stopping the run. So I think Michigan, they're the better team in this one. I think it won't be really as close as I expected it to be because, yeah, I think Purdue can score, but it just won't be enough. My score prediction, though, for this game right here between Michigan and Purdue is going to be 38 to Michigan, Purdue 10. Now, the reason why I only have Purdue at 10 points is because the way that Michigan can stop the run and the way they can stop the offensive games, I think this is enough to put them here at only 10 points. But Michigan, I think their offense is what wins them the game here. I think the running game is going to keep continuing to be strong here for Michigan. I mean, we saw the passing game a little bit last week with J.J. McCarthy because I don't think they could run the football against Ohio State that well. But, they really did pretty well, though, still running the football against Ohio State. So I think Michigan can run the football really good on this Purdue team. That's my score prediction, and that is my Big Ten Championship game prediction for Michigan versus Purdue. Let me guys know what you think about this game coming up this weekend. Who you think will win, and what do you think your score prediction will be? And stay tuned here for more on the Lucas Ross Sports Channel.